Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us in the study of Srimadbhagavatam. Today we'll be covering Srimadbhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 88. Lord Śiva saved from Vṛkāsura. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Please join us for Mangalacharan prayers. Together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiriyet. Shrutam Swakatha Kṛṣṇa Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhasatam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtaki. Hare Krishna, please join us for the recitation of the first verse of Srimadbhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 88, Lord Śiva saved from Vṛkāsura. Shri Rajo Vacha
Shri Raju Vacha
Devasura Manushyeshu
Devasur Manusheshu
Ye Bhajanta Shivam Shivam
Ye Bhajanta Shivam Shivam
Prayaste Dhanino Bhoja
Prayaste Dhanino Bhoja
Natul Lakshmiyaha Patim Harim.
Natu Lakshmiya Patim Harim.
Please.
Shri Rajo Vacha
Shri Rajo Vacha
Devasura Manusheshu
Devasura Manushyeshu
Ye Bhajanta Shivam Shivam
Ye Bhajanta Shivam Shivam
Prayaste Dhanino Bhoja
Prayaste Dhanino Bhoja
Natu Lakshamya Patim Harim.
Natu Lakshamyaha Patim Harim. Shri Raja Uvacha.
Shri Rajavacha,
The king Parikshit said,
the king Parikshit said,
Deva,
Deva
among demigods,
among demigods,
Asura,
Asura,
demons,
demons,
Manusheshu,
Manushyesu,
and humans, ye,
ye,
who, bhajanti,
bhajanti,
worship, Ashivam,
Ashivam,
austere,
austere,
Shivam,
Shivam,
Lord Shiva,
Lord Shiva,
Prayaha,
Praya,
usually,
they,
Dhaninaha,
Dhanina,
rich,
Bhoja,
enjoyers of sense gratification,
enjoyers of sense gratification,
na, not, tu, however, Lakshmiyaha,
Lakshmiya,
of the goddess of fortune, Patim, the husband, Harim, Lord Hari. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. King Parikshit said, those demigods, demons and humans who worship Lord Shiva, a strict renunciant, usually enjoy wealth and sense gratification, while the worshippers of the Supreme Lord Hari, the husband of the goddess of fortune, do not. No purpose, so we'll cover the next verse. Verse 2, translation. We wish to properly understand this matter, which greatly puzzles us. Indeed, the results attained by the worshippers of these two lords of opposite characters are contrary to what one would expect. Purport. The preceding chapter ended with the recommendation that one should always meditate on Lord Hari, the bestower of liberation. In this regard, Maharaj Parikshit here expresses a common fear among ordinary people that by becoming a devotee of Lord Vishnu, one will lose his wealth and social status. For the benefit of such persons of little faith, King Parikshit requests Srila Shukdev Goswami to explain an apparent paradox. Lord Shiva, who lives like a beggar, without even a house to call his own, makes his devotees rich and powerful, while Lord Vishnu, the omnipotent possessor of all that exists, often reduces his servants to abject poverty, Shukdev Goswami will respond with recent explanations and an ancient account concerning the demon Vṛkā. Hare Krishna. So let's do Guru Pranati together. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadham Vande Shri Gurum Dīnatarinam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So dear devotees, this is a beautiful chapter. So in the last chapter, chapter 87, we heard how to be peaceful by taking shelter of Lord Krishna. And now in the beginning of this chapter, Parikshit Maharaj has raised a very important question, which we will further analyze as how Shukdev Goswami explains it so nicely. So here, in this chapter, we'll learn how to overcome all kinds of miseries by surrendering to Krishna. And before even we get started about this response, it's very important to understand the blessing in this chapter. So the blessing in this chapter is in the last verse, where it is Shukdev Goswami is, he is speaking Srimadbhagavatam, he is reciting Srimadbhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And the last verse he says, anyone who recites or hears this pastime of his saving Lord Shiva. So his is Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord Vishnu. Saving Lord Shiva will be freed from all enemies and the repetition of birth and death. So if you want to, win over all your enemies and you want to be relieved from this miseries of birth, death. So again, related miseries are birth, death, has relationship with old age and disease. So if you want to be relieved of all kind of miseries, then the simple process is surrendering to Krishna. It's very simple process. And in that process, even simpler is just hearing this chapter. Just by hearing this chapter, this pastime, and the way Shukdev Goswami is describing to Parikshit Maharaj as why Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is the husband of Goddess of Fortune, right? We said when Lord is at home in Vrindavan, then he is Kṛṣṇa. When he is at work, Vaikuntha, he is Vishnu. So, he is in opulent surrounding. He has all kind of opulences. Yet at the same time, he has all these fortune, Goddess of Fortunes are serving him. Goddesses of Fortune, they are serving him. Lakshmi Sahasrata Sambramya Sevamanam. So in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma is saying that hundreds of thousands of this Sahasra Shat, Sahasra is thousand, Shat is 100. Hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis, goddesses of fortune, they are with love and devotion serving him. So this is about Vrindavan. And then every Vaikuntha there is a Lakshmi with Lord Vishnu. So Radharani expands as Lakshmi. So in such an opulent state, when Lord Vishnu is there, his devotees, Lord Krishna's devotees, Lord Vishnu devotees, they are generally poverty-stricken. And that is puzzling to Parikshit Maharaj. While in the case of Lord Shiva, who doesn't even have a house to call.
Some cases.
Yes. Yes, we hear. Well, advanced devotees, like the pure devotees, they get all kind of opulences. We also hear that, like Yudhishthira Maharaj, Amrish Maharaj, and so many other personalities, Dhruv Maharaj. Even greater than Satyalok, he has this Dhruva planet. And Prahlad also, attains all kind of wealth. But generally speaking, so this is a generalized statement. Yes, there are exceptions for the pure devotees. Pure devotees get all kind of opulences. Yet at the same time, generally speaking, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that, Lord Krishna's devotees, Vaishnavas, they are generally poverty-stricken. While the devotees of Lord Shiva, they are, they're getting all kind of riches, all kind of powers and wealth and opulence. So, this is little puzzling because this seems to be contradictory. Lord Shiva has all the fortune, but his devotees are poverty-stricken. Lord Shiva doesn't even have a house. He's living, under a tree on top of a mountain, Kailash Parvat. Yet at the same time, his devotees are, very wealthy, very powerful, very, name, fame, glories they are achieving. So this is contradictory. So he's requesting Shukadeva Goswami to please explain why is it so. And how, this has been so arranged by Lord Kṛṣṇa. So why is it so in this material world? So he's inquiring this. And Shukadeva Goswami starts with a very simple example, where he says a father generally restricts his son's playtime. When we were kids, we loved to play all day long, right? Just be with our friends, just, in the playground, playing all day long. And even now, today's times, there is a virtual world for the kids. There is a virtual playground. So kids, if you let them be, they will play all day as well as all night long, if you can't manage it. But a father restricts his son. Why? From such playtime, and sends them to school, engages them in devotional service, engages them in various kind of disciplinary act, using discipline to engage them in right kind of activities like sitting with family, having quality time with family and so forth. So from kid's perspective, it looks like that the kid is under a lot of agony, a lot of distress. However, an obedient kid appreciates that. And this is actually an affection of a father. Right? So sometimes a kid, he's asking for sweets and he's constantly eating sweet. Why do parents stop the child from eating too much sweet? Because afterwards they know that it will, the kid will have stomach ache and all kind of health issues. And on top of that, the sweet will destroy his teeth. So, they are looking at the welfare of the child. So similarly, Lord Kṛṣṇa is always watching out for the welfare of the child. Shukadeva Goswami is explaining that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they very easily grant, all other demigods, when they are worshipped, they very easily grant the wishes of their devotees. But at the same time, they are not looking at whether this wish that they are granting will help them or not. Right? Like Sahasrabahu Arjun, Kartavirya Arjun, he got 1,000 arms. And that, he became proud because of that. And so he was killed by Parshuram. Similarly, Ravan, he got so much power by the mercy of Lord Shiva. But at the end, because of his demonic nature, he tried, he kidnapped Sita Mai, and then Lord Ramchandra killed him. So it appears that they are getting, but all the blessings they are getting could be turning them away from the purpose of life. And that's also discussed at length. That's where the story of Vṛkāsura comes in. And now, as a father is taking care, so similarly, when a devotee surrenders to Lord Kṛṣṇa, a Vaishnava, surrenders to Lord Kṛṣṇa, then Lord Kṛṣṇa takes care of him. So even if a neophyte surrenders to Lord Kṛṣṇa asking for, some material benefit, it is highly recommended. Instead of, surrendering to demigod for some material benefit, it is recommended to surrender to Lord Kṛṣṇa. Why is that? Because Lord Kṛṣṇa is an affectionate father. He realizes that, this particular, demand that a child has, his devotee has, if it is a good demand, he would definitely, he won't want to provide it. But if it is something that would disturb the devotee's spiritual progress, then he does not provide it. And rather, in the process, he purifies the devotee so that this desire goes away, right? The material desire for sense gratification goes away. That's when the scriptures, in the first canto is covered, that even if you have all kinds of desires, material desires to enjoy in this material world, or if you have no desire, or even if you have a desire to attain liberation, you should very enthusiastically, with great determination, with great, zest, you should engage in the worship of Lord Kṛṣna. Because that will be for your benefit. As an affectionate father, he, saves us from the miseries of this material world. And just by surrendering to Kṛṣna, when we are saved from the miseries of material world, then we are peaceful. So it just, very nicely is described here. And when we surrender to Lord Kṛṣna, the reactions of our, past deeds, pious or impious, they are nullified. So there are various stages, the reactions are there. So again, when you perform an act, the karma cycle doesn't just finish by action, the various activities that we engage in with our mind, body and words, but rather there is a reaction that's coming back. If it's a pious activity, you have good reaction coming back. If you have impious activity, a sinful activity, then its reaction, sinful reaction is coming back as well for us to suffer from. So from material perspective, one reaction seems to be giving us happiness, another reaction seems to be giving us distress, suffering. Yet at the same time, if it doesn't happen within this lifetime, then we'll have to take birth again in the next life. So even the reaction of a pious activity will cause us to go through, death and then birth again, take birth again, which is very painful, which is a misery. Janmitru jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So birth, death, old age and disease are the kind of sufferings. And we don't want to see them because, why suffer in this material world when we can be blissful? Sometimes people say, I'm a spiritual being having material experience. What stops you from being a spiritual being having a spiritual experience? And that you experience when you engage in devotional service. So it is very, so when you have these reactions, what is the various stages this reaction takes place? So first it is in an unmanifested kuta form. Then, in the actually bija. Bija is like the seed. So it's in the form of seed, so it is sown. So the seed is in the kuta form, not yet, fructified. And then, even if it has fructified, then it comes to aparakrat. So it is not visible on the surface, but it has fructified in, under the soil, beneath the surface. And then it becomes, as it grows, it comes out. And prarabdha, that is like visible reaction. That is when your body is suffering, that misery is falling on you. Well, misery you cannot avoid, but the suffering you can avoid. So a devotee, can meditate on Lord Kṛṣna, meditate on the Lordship, even in the time of miseries, without getting bewildered, just surrender at the lotus feet and continue to perform your prescribed duties. So we continue to perform our prescribed duties, dovetailing in the service of Lord Kṛṣna. So that is a very simple way for us to overcome the miseries. Yet at the same time, because we are engaged in devotional service, the reactions are nullified, the future reactions. And if you are a devotee understands, even if our hand is supposed to be cut off, instead of that, we understand that Lord Kṛṣna just gave us a scratch. So in this manner, a devotee is in complete bliss, taking surrender of Lord Kṛṣna and overcoming all kind of miseries. Now, how do you even understand this from the perspective of Shastra? So Shukdev Goswami is explaining that just like an ointment, sometimes applied in the eyes, if you have an infection in the eyes, a physician applies an ointment in the eye. What does it do? It stings you, right? Right? And when it has its effect, then actually the sickness that you had, the defect you had in your eyes, that goes away. And you have blissful sight. So this is how it works in case of Lordship. It may appear to be materially, distressful. Yet at the same time, it is for our benefit because it purifies us. Lord's mercy, when we surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣna, it purifies us. And so a devotee experiences complete bliss. Now, there is another purpose. Why is devotee in distress? There are actually two main purposes. Shukdev Goswami is explaining. First purpose is, when a devotee is in distress, a faithless person looks at a devotee, oh, this person is constantly under misery, he is constantly seems to be suffering. They are looking from that perspective. He is very poor. They are looking at all the things from material perspective. And so they think, if I become a devotee of Krishna, then the same thing would happen to me. Right? So faithless person doesn't take to devotional service easily. That's why he's referred to as mudhas. And an intelligent person is even referred to as maya pragyana, whose intelligence has been taken away. What is mudha? Mudha is a foolish person who is like a burden of beast of burden actually, sorry. So like an ass. So that is like constantly working. That's the nature of a donkey. He's constantly working, under a master, hoping that master will treat him nicely, where a grass is can easily get grass anywhere. So that's also another way why people, they, in their foolishness, they engage in over-endeavor, trying to accumulate things in this material world. We covered that scenario in the last class, where this lady thinking that the vending machine is a slot machine, is putting the coin, pressing the button and taking out a Coke can, right? Can of Coke. And she's continuing to do that, thinking that she's winning. But all this stuff, all this wealth that, a mudha, beast of burden, whoever is engaged in this over-endeavor is accumulating, but it will be left behind at the time of death. So what is the use of accumulating so much? Rather, continue to do our prescribed duties, right? It's not that we become lazy. We do our prescribed duties, but not over-endeavor. We don't do over-endeavor. So devotees don't do over-endeavor. And they continue to do, and whatever comes by its own accord, we accept it as mercy of Lord Krishna, and so we continue our journey. So similarly, a faithless person is discouraged from taking to devotional service, because the faithless person is basically materially oriented, seeking sense gratification. Now what is the other purpose? Now the other purpose is very interesting. If you talk of any plot in any of these Bollywood or Hollywood movies, they use this concept, literally coming from Lord Krishna. You normally see that, there is some violence going on, and suddenly in a grand manner, the hero enters at that scene and then sets everything right? That they have actually derived from Lord Krishna's. Every time this plot is played, we should think this is exactly the plot that Lord Krishna does. He is coming to protect his devotees. He didn't come to kill Hiranyakashipu as much as he came to save Prahlad Maharaj, to protect Prahlad Maharaj. He didn't plan, the Kurukshetra and so many times save the Pandavas. It was again to, kill Duryodhana and the demons. Rather, he came to save Yudhishthira Maharaj, to save the Pandavas. He did not come to kill Dushasana and Duryodhana, when they were trying to dethrone Draupadi. He came to save Draupadi. So, Paritranaya Sadhanam, Lord Krishna comes when the devotee is in distress, to save the devotee from such suffering. You can think of so many, instances where a devotee is in distress, but Lord comes. And that is a grand entry, right? He doesn't, because Vinashaya Dushkritam, annihilate the miscreants, he can just do it with his material energy. It's easy enough. So many miscreants are annihilated on a daily basis from that perspective by the material energy of Lord Krishna. Devi He Shanguramayi. He says that the material energy is mine, under my order. She is subservient to Lord Krishna. So we understand what are the two reasons. Lord Krishna comes to this world to protect his devotees, and of course to, make sure that the devotees are blessed. Another thing is pastimes, the gopis. He wants to have this loving exchange with his devotees. So he comes in Vrindavan, Leela. We all see that how he is constantly protecting his devotees from various demons that are coming and carrying out wonderful loving exchanges with his devotees. So those are the reasons that Lord really appears. And, annihilate the miscreants and to reestablish the religion, he can have his generals like Srila Prabhupada do that. Srila Prabhupada came and he spread Krishna consciousness all around the globe because he was empowered by Lord Krishna. He was empowered by his spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. And so, by the mercy of the Lord, in disciplic succession, by the mercy of the Acharyas, he established Krishna consciousness all around the world. That is Dharma Sansthapanarthaya. So Lord can have material energy and his devotees take care of all of the things, but he wants to personally protect his devotees. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that I protect what my devotees have and I deliver what they lack. And that is, those are the two important activities he personally enjoys carrying out. This is exactly like a father. When a father sees his son, falling down, sometimes during the sports or other times, he immediately runs, picks up his son and takes care of his son, right? So that is the mood Lord has as a loving father who wants to take care of us who are his sons and daughters in this material world suffering. And he is waiting for us. And then for his pure devotees, his very beloved sons, he goes extra mile ahead to take care of them. So as I was driving one day, going to work, there was a roadside billboard that I saw. Outside churches, there are normally billboards. There are 4 or 5 such churches. They come on my way to my work. So on one of the churches, it said, if God is all you have all you need. So that was very interesting. If you have Lord Krishna, then you don't need anything because you have everything. Everything is in him. So automatically he says in Bhagavad Gita, everything is in him, but I am not in everything. So yes. So Lord Krishna, when we have Lord Krishna, then we have everything. And he is more than willing to share all his opulences, all his, property. Sometimes people refer to it as, with us. Yet at the same time, people who are faithless, they don't take to devotional service because they are afraid, they are seeking sense gratification. And even if you are seeking sense gratification by taking shelter of Lord Krishna, it benefits you immensely because you can overcome the miseries of this life. You can overcome your enemies. And Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, our mind can be our greatest friend or our worst enemy. So even a worst enemy can be, an invincible enemy can be defeated if we take shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Now Lord Krishna's devotees, even in distress, they are constantly surrendered at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Sometimes people find this very amazing. They say, how is it possible? How could this devotee is in so much misery? We hear about Sudama Brahman. Even in poverty, he was a pure devotee engaged in the service of Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna, when he gave him wealth, when Sudama Brahman visited Lord Krishna in Dwarka, he gave him wealth, but took away that pride, the tinge of pride he had of thinking that I am poor and that is very nice, because he was adverse to the fortune that was coming his way. He was intentionally putting away all the fortune. So this adverse nature was taken away by Lord Krishna. And so that tinge of pride that he had, so he was purified in the process, while experiencing all kind of nice arrangement, wealth, property, and pleasures of this material world. And then he went back home, back to Godhead, because he dovetailed everything in the service of Lord Krishna. He did not use it for sense gratification. So again, Srila Prabhupada, he explains that this material world is like Mathuragraha. It's a place where people engage in sex activities and they're constantly suffering, going on this Ferris wheel, high and low, on different higher planets or to hellish planets constantly. And what is the nature of this material world? Why are people thinking that they are enjoying? A very nice example Srila Prabhupada gave is that of a camel. So a camel goes and loves to eat the thorny branches, thorny, trees. Why? Because when it tries to eat, the thorns pierce in its gums and the blood oozes out, and it tastes its blood and thinks that, oh, this is so tasty. It's thinking that it is the thorns and the branches that it's eating that is tasty, but actually it's its own blood. So people who are engaged in this material world seeking sense gratification, they're wasting away their precious time in collecting things that are useless. And thus, I and mine, aham mameti, that is their principle in sense gratification. That I am so and so, so the envy develops because of I, because of various designations related to the body, that I represents the false ego, associating with the body. That I am a president and I am a CEO and so forth. And mine is causing lust, that this is mine. I have got so much property, I'll have many more, I'll defeat all my enemies, I'll even acquire more than and I'll become the lord of all that pervades. So to lord over the material nature, a person is seeking in this manner. And devotee does not take to that. Yet at the same time, why a devotee is so carefree? How come he is so carefree? So there is a very nice story of two friends. They were very close friends since childhood. So as they grew, one of the friends became a very rich man. So his name was Ramnath. And the other friend was very poor. But just, he was just working enough to sustain his life. His name was Premnath. So Ramnath and Premnath, they would meet, on a daily basis. They would chat. And Ramnath would wonder, this Premnath is so carefree, while Ramnath has to work so much to, make sure that nobody takes his wealth away and all that. So he says, he's completely carefree, he's very relaxed, he's always happy, and I'm always distressed and I have all the riches. Why is that so? I'm going to make his life like mine. So one day when, Premnath comes to Ramnath gives him a whole, chest of treasure. That this is my gift to you. Premnath says, no, I don't need it. He says, no, this is a gift, from me to you. You should keep it. So Premnath takes it, okay, thinking that it's a gift. Now he goes to his hut and he places the treasure chest, and then he's thinking, wait a minute, I'm living in a hut. Somebody can break into my house, saint, right? That they can break into through the wall and take away this chest. So poor Premnath, he could not sleep all night. He was awake, thinking that somebody could, take away the treasure this way. Somebody can, a dacoit can come and attack the house. How to protect this? Where to keep it? How do you make sure that it is not stolen away? All night he could not sleep. So next morning he picked up this chest of treasure, went to Ramnath and said, please take it back because it has taken away my sleep. And at that time, Ramnath realized that it was the wealth that was the cause of his distress. The rich Ramnath realized, so the more riches you have, the more endeavor you do to protect yourself from others. And that is the snare of material energy. Srila Prabhupada in Kṛṣṇa book in this chapter describes that there are two activities people engage in this material world that, as part of sense gratification. They want to taste palatable things, and then they want to engage in, the itching of the skin. What is that? They are running after women, opposite sex. So for women it is man, for men it's women. So, they are running after opposite sex. So these are the two main attractions in this material world. As why people are seeking sense gratification. So all sense gratification is actually dovetailed around these two activities. People wear nice clothes. Why? Because they want to appear attractive. They have a lifestyle but no life. So that is the mood they are living in, because they want to appear so more attractive. Reminds me of Srila Prabhupada. Once he was going with a couple of his female disciples on the road, a morning walk. And it was a chilly morning, in winter time. And as his disciples were walking with Srila Prabhupada, they saw that across the road, there were a couple of girls, young girls. They were standing, but really in flimsy clothes, like a mini skirts and, short clothes and all that. And they were wondering, like, oh, this is, what's going on? And Srila Prabhupada looked at his disciples and he smiled. And he pointed out that those girls are serving Maya. They want some people to look at, men to look at them and become attracted because they're doing a show off of their body. While you are serving Kṛṣṇa, so you have been saved. They are still in the clutches. So that's the message, very clear message we get. Such an amazing message that, everyone who's trying to show normally you see the car ads, right? What do they show? Our old guy is driving a convertible. You go on the road and you suddenly see an old guy is driving a convertible. He's so old, he's already 65, 70-year-old. What purpose does he have to drive the convertible, right? What is the sense? But at the same time, the person is driving the convertible because even though he doesn't have any potency, even though he doesn't have anything, but he wants to be attracted. He wants to attract the opposite sex. Akbar and Birbal, they were just discussing what is the biggest attraction in this world. So Birbal said, my dear Jahapana, that's the way, your majesty. In this material world, the sex is the biggest attraction. Akbar said, no, it cannot be. He said, yes, it is. So it just so happened that once Akbar and Birbal, they were sitting together, they came to know that an old man, he was about to die. So he said to Akbar, as Akbar was getting ready to see this old man, he said, can you bring your younger daughter? And his younger daughter was very beautiful, Akbar's younger daughter. So he said, can you take along with us? So Akbar, he calls his daughter, three of them go to see this old man who was about to die. And the interesting thing is, Birbal says, just watch this old man's eyes. He's about to die. And this old man, when Akbar, Birbal and, the princess, they entered, at that time, the old man was constantly looking at the princess. And Akbar was shocked to see that this man is about to die, but he cannot give up his sense gratification. So sex is one. Second is to taste palatable things. Tasting palatable things, there is a very nice example from Lord Kṛṣṇa's pastimes, where when he was offered bhoga, Rukmini Devi, she gives him, Queen Rukmini offers him bhoga, nice palette of wonderful food stuff. And he's about to eat. What does he see? He sees a small insect crawling on to come to the plate. And he is smiling. And she says, what happened? He says, this one has been Indra 14 times. But still he could not give up his, sense gratification, the feeling, this desire to enjoy senses. He wants to have sense gratification. So, such strong is this allurement to eat palatable things and to engage in sense gratification, means sex desires, to not be able to curb sex desires. And how can you curb them? Srila Prabhupada gave a very simple example. If we want to eat palatable things, we should eat Kṛṣna Prasad. Because just by eating Kṛṣna Prasad, our tongue is purified. Right? And so much purified that Lord Kṛṣna manifests to us. And another way is by chanting the holy name. Hare Kṛṣna, Kṛṣna Kṛṣna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And when we want to see, we see the beautiful form of Shri Radha Kṛṣna, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, Shri Radha Govindji. We look at their beautiful forms. The material beauty causes agitation in our senses, while the transcendental beauty of the Lordships is deity forms. And so many wonderful paintings, you see Lord Kṛṣna in such beautiful, blissful form with his lotus lotus petal-like eyes, his blissful smile. So when you look at that form, your senses, they are subdued, they are automatically subdued. And so we discuss about Lord Kṛṣna's pastimes, his wonderful loving exchanges with his devotees, and how he's making his grand entry every time, right? One of the grandest entry you can think of is like when he came to save Draupadi. She raises her hand completely and calls out, Govinda, save me. And then at that time Lord appears. Such is the wonderful Lordship, Lord Kṛṣna is, that he is constantly seeking our welfare. And when we take shelter at His lotus feet, we can overcome all kinds of miseries as well as all kinds of enemies that we have in this world. Rather, those enemies become our friends, our well-wishers. Can you imagine? You turn the person completely around. Your mind, Lord Krishna says, in sense gratification, your worst enemy. But by taking shelter of Lord Krishna's lotus feet, the same mind which is your worst enemy becomes your best friend. How amazing that is. And mind is very powerful. It's flickering and obstinate when it is our worst enemy, because that is the nature that we are not able to control our mind. Yet at the same time, by engaging in devotional service, we are able to, make the mind our best enemy. And it is mind that carries us to our next destination. Lord Krishna says, Anta kale cha mameva smarad muktva kalevaram. So whatever we think at the last moment of our life, at the moment of death, that's the destination we attain. So if our mind is only thinking of Lord Krishna, only meditating on the name, form, activities and pastimes of Lord Krishna, then of course we attain Krishna. We are able to go back home, back to Godhead. And that is the goal of this life. The purpose is to engage in devotional service, to surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and the goal is to attain Krishna by going back home, back to Godhead. Yet at the same time, devotees are not so eager in going back home. They are more eager in engaging in devotional service. That is Kirtaniya Sadahari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that a devotee, by staying humble and tolerant and giving all kind of, glorifying others, not expecting any glorification for himself, in this mood, with this attitude, can constantly engage in devotional service and glorify Lord Krishna. So this is from Lord Krishna's perspective, that the devotees are carefree. So they don't even feel that they are suffering. But from a materialistic perspective, it appears that they are suffering. So the people who are faithless, they are seeking sense gratification, they don't easily surrender to Lord Krishna. And those who surrender, Jnanvam mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti. So those who are intelligent, they surrender to Lord Krishna. And they know that Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, is all in all. He's everything, He's everywhere. So it is, yet at the same time, because everything is in Lord Krishna, that's like sun. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakara. So Lord Krishna is like the sun. And because of the sun, there is cloud. That doesn't mean the cloud has become sun. Because of the sun, the tree grows. And, it has the potency of, as a firewood. So again, it has this, in unmanifested form, it contains fire. So when you burn the wood, that becomes manifested, right? Prarabdha. But doesn't mean that now it has become sun. Sun is there. It is the potency of sun. So Lord Krishna is there, and the potency in the conditioned body is that, as part and parcel, is us, living entities. So because of us, there is consciousness in the bodies. So we have to understand that just because Lord says everything is in Him, doesn't mean everything has become Kṛṣṇa. So we covered that in our last class as well. But it's a very important concept for us to understand, that when a Mayavadi thinks in this manner and thinks that, okay, I have to merge into Brahman and become God, that's a big offense. Yet at the same time, if one thinks I have to attain liberation by engaging in devotional service, and liberation from these three modes of material nature, from this constant suffering in this material world, from this birth, death, old age, disease, from being surrounded by these enemies, and from the material energy which is constantly tormenting me, and I'm frustrated, and what to do I do not know. At that moment, when one is bewildered for whatever reason, there are hundreds and hundreds of reasons one could get bewildered, one could become anxious. So when one is in anxiety, what should one do? The recommendation of the Shastra says one should surrender at the lotus feet of Krishna with full faith. Full faith means one who has trust that Lord Krishna will provide us protection, He will take care of us. So with that mode, one should engage in devotional service. So here, this is the example given from Lord Krishna's perspective. Now there is example given from the demigod's perspective, where if somebody surrenders to Lord Śiva and Lord Brahma and other demigods, Goddess Durga, then they get what they want. But then that causes them to further get entangled in this material world. So they are not able to come out of this material world. Rather, they are going deeper and deeper in this quicksand scenario. So this material world is sometimes like quicksand, and the more you move and more you engage in various activities, the further you get deeper in this quicksand. What do you need? You need someone to take you out. And that someone to take you out is like taking shelter of a spiritual master. You surrender to a bona fide spiritual master who appears in the disciplic succession, and by taking that surrender, the spiritual master gives you his hand and pulls you out of this quicksand, and then gives you the path where your true destination lies. So that is our path, where engaging in devotional service, we are able to relieve ourselves of all kind of miseries. In the process of surrender, in due course of time, Lord Kṛṣṇa bestows all kinds of miseries. Now somebody could say, well, Lord Kṛṣṇa bestows all kinds of miseries. Parikshit Maharaj was already a liberated soul at this time. Srila Prabhupada identifies in Kṛṣṇa book. Yet at the same time, he is awaiting his death. How could that be? So a very simple example is given, that it doesn't matter whether you have a body that is going to go on for 100 more years. Rather, it is more important is, did you achieve the purpose, it was, the goal it was set for. So the purpose of life is to cross over this material ocean. And we have this body as a perfect boat. It's only in a human body that we can cross over this ocean of nascence, this material world. And if we are able to cross over, how does it matter if the boat gets destroyed? Rather, devotees, they step over the head of death and then go back to spiritual world. This is given in the case of Dhruv Maharaj. He stepped over the head of death when he was going to spiritual world. So a devotee doesn't feel any fear of death. Rather, it's a lightning and thunder, the two examples we have covered in the past. Where for devotees, lightning happens in the case of Devashi Narad is given when, as a maidservant boy, when he left his body, lightning and thunder happened at the same time. Now, which one is faster? Which one happens first? Which one do you recognize first? It's lightning. Thunder is, a sound comes afterwards. You see the lightning first, then the sound of thunder appears later on. So just by lightning, immediately from material body to spiritual body. Then the material body is falling down, the pain is there, but you are not there in this body. Another example that can be given is the chariot given by Agnidev to Arjun. So this was a chariot with the 4 white horses, Shweta, right? White horses on the battle of Kurukshetra. After having won the battle of Kurukshetra, when Lord Kṛṣṇa asked Arjun to leave and he left, the whole chariot burned into flames. Now what does that mean? Well, the purpose is served. That chariot was meant to be used in this battle. So he had this chariot all the way to the battle. He won the battle. There is no use for the chariot, it goes away. Similarly, Arjun, he was such a strong Kshatriya and he had all this prowess. Yet at the same time with Kṛṣṇa, he left for his dham, right, to the spiritual world. At that time, Arjun was bringing his queens along with him. And a few cowherd men, they defeated him on the way. He lost all his strength. He was easily defeated by these cowherd boys, because at that time Lord Kṛṣṇa took away that potency and he didn't need it. And it is said by Acharyas reveal that Kṛṣṇa himself took the form of these cowherd boys and kidnapped his queens from Arjun. But sometimes materialists, they hear this and they are like shaking that these were the queens of Lord Kṛṣṇa and he didn't provide. No, he himself came and he took them back home. But it was in a manner to teach Arjun that he had all this prowess because of Lord Kṛṣṇa, and it was to be used for, in the service of Lord Kṛṣṇa. When there was no more need, it was taken away from him. So it is not at all bewildering to the devotees, but to a materialist, for people who do not know this, they get bewildered and they become afraid. A faithless person becomes anxious to surrendering. While actually it happens the other way around. The demigods, when you worship, Devan Deva Yajayanti. So demigod worship goes to the destination of demigods, right? If you go to a shopkeeper, a grocery store, and that's where you are asking for rice, you'll get rice because he has rice. If you ask for diamond, he won't be able to give you. Why? Because to get diamond, you have to go to the diamond shop. And those diamonds, are reflecting devotional service. So it is not a right of living entity. Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas. Our living entity, we are eternal servant of Lord Krishna. That is a fact. Yet at the same time, to get devotional service is not a right. We have to pray for it. And a very simple prayer to ask for devotional service, to ask for these diamonds is just by raising our hand and calling out to the Lordships. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So hopefully at this point you have a very clear idea that why demigod worshippers are not very intelligent and how they are actually getting more and more entangled and they are suffering more and more in this material world by asking for sense gratification. Now in this regard, why they are not intelligent and how they actually sometimes put the demigods in danger, Shukdev Goswami narrates the pastime of Vṛkāsura. He is also known as Bhaspasura. So Vṛkāsura was a demon and he wanted to attain great power. So sometimes, this is where Srila Prabhupada says, sometimes people, they, engage lot of energy and wealth and intelligence in building weapons of destruction. It requires great amount of intelligence but is used incorrectly. They create these atomic bombs, nuclear bombs, all these missiles and all this kind of, even chemical weapons and biological weapons, all these things are constantly going on. It requires intelligence, but it is a misuse of intelligence because it is not for the benefit of humanity. To benefit humanity, one should spread Krishna consciousness because that would benefit humanity, that would save the soul, the living entities in this material world by sending them back home, back to Godhead, by engaging us in service of Lord Krishna and purifying our very existence. Yet people who are demonic by nature, so asurim bhavam, dushkritina. Srila Prabhupada uses the word dushkritina. Kritim is the one who does magnanimous activities, but dushkritina is one who does abominable, gross activities. So that is the kind of activities these people who are engaged in, demons are engaged in, people who are sometimes scientists are engaged in, people who are beast of burden they are engaged in, and people who are the most fallen of the mankind, they are engaged in these kind of activities, abominable activities. And so Vṛkāsura was one such person. And he, on his travel, he gets to see Devashi Narad. So Devadarshan. Why? Because he was a mystical being. He was very, he has siddhis and he was very opulent. Yet at the same time, all his opulence he is doing is to become more powerful so that he can enjoy in this material world. And we talked about it. Wants to, engage in, attracting the opposite sex and eating palatable things. Those are the only two ways. And these are the two primary ones. Even then, attracting opposite sex is even considered higher, and that's what, itch of the skin, that's what Srila Prabhupada calls it. The sex pleasure or sensual pleasures, that's what he is calling. And he is saying that Vṛkāsura is trying to become powerful, become Lord of all. So he asks Devashi Narad, of the three main personalities, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Śiva, who is easy to please? Because he wants to easily get the boon he is looking for. So Devashi Narad very nicely reveals to him that yes, it is Lord Śiva. He is called Ashutosh. Ashutosh means one who is easily pleased and easily angered. So again, gives him a warning. You can anger him also, you can please him also very quickly. So Lord Śiva is, Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu. Of all the Vaishnavas, Lord Śiva is the topmost Vaishnava. Nimdka Nam Yatha Ganga. Of all the rivers, Mother Ganges is the topmost. Devanam Achyuto Yatha. So again, of all the devas, the most worshipable deity is Lord Krishna. And Granthanam Idam Tatha. Of all the Granthas, Srimadbhagavatam is the best. So here, Lord Śiva has been recommended by Devashi Narad to Vṛkāsura. So Vṛkāsura, he decides, he would go and he goes to, in the north, Kedarnath area, and then he starts performing this sacrifice, fire sacrifice. And what is he offering? So this is again in delusion. People do abominable things. He's offering his own flesh. He's cutting his own flesh and he's putting in the fire, as oblations to Lord Shiva. And 6 days have passed. And after 6 days, he's realizing that Lord Shiva is not appearing. So he decides to chop off his head and offer that in the fire. Now to do that, it is recommended in the Shastras, so again Vedas also recommend various aspects, that if an animal is to be sacrificed, then the animal should be given bath properly. And then while its body is still in this clean state, should be sacrificed in the fire. So he takes bath in the Ganges, comes out, and in front of fire he's about to cut off his head, and from the fire Lord Shiva appears, holding his hand. He's like, what are you doing? How can you be easily pleased just by pouring the water of Ganges? You are at the river Ganges, right here, the river Ganges is flowing. If you just offer that on the ling, on Shivling, that would satisfy me. So he says, whatever boon you are looking for, I'll give you that boon. Don't do this. He's being compassionate. Now his compassion is being glorified here. This compassion of Lord Shiva is in the mode of goodness. Lord Shiva, he is the Lord, and he manages the mode of ignorance. He is not in the mode of ignorance. Sometimes people get confused. He is never in the mode of ignorance. He is always in the mode of goodness. And sometimes he is bewildered. Even in the mode of goodness, people get bewildered. So here, he is in the mode of goodness. And also, as part of, he manages the mode of ignorance. And the best way that is done is, we also talked about, in the form of false ego. The false ego that living entity has in the subtle body, the 3 parts of the subtle body: mind, intelligence, and false ego. The false ego is in the mode of ignorance. Why is it mode of ignorance? Conditioned to think that I am this body. That is false ego. When it is not conditioned, then living entity realizes that I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. So Lord Shiva, being controller of false ego, deludes everyone by making them think. Now even this false ego is in 3 different modes. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And how that is? Because Lord Shiva is husband of Goddess Durga, Goddess Parvati. So, and Goddess Durga is the material energy of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So she, is controlling all the living entities, their conditioned body, by the 3 modes of material nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So here he is actually being glorified by, the Lordship as well at the end of this chapter. Shukdev Goswami is glorifying how Lord Kṛṣṇa glorifies him, Lord Vishnu glorifies him. Yet at the same time, Srila Prabhupada gives an elaborate purport in Kṛṣṇa book as how Lord Shiva is so benevolent, is such a well-wisher of his devotees, that he agreeably gives. Yet at the same time, it is the devotees, his devotees, are seeking sense gratification, so they cause havoc on him as well as them. How does they cause havoc on him? Vṛkāsura, right? Lord Shiva became happy with him, so he gave him 1,000 arms. Vṛkāsura became so powerful, so he would not find another warrior to fight, so he would go and break the mountain peaks, just like thunderbolt is used by Indra. And so he came one day and he said that it would be very nice for me to fight with you. And because Lord Shiva, he was happy earlier, because Vṛkāsura, he played on this when Lord Shiva did Tandav, right? When Cupid shot the arrow, so that Lord Shiva and Parvati would have a son. And at that time, Lord Shiva in his anger did Tandav, and the third eye opened up and he burned Kamdev to ashes. His body was burned. He was still in unmanifest form. And then Kamdev said, now what can you do? I'm in unmanifest form. But one thing happened. At that time when Lord Shiva was dancing, Vṛkāsura with his 1,000 arms was beating on drums. And that was very pleasing to Lord Shiva. So he said, ask for a boon. So Vṛkāsura said, you become the protector of my city, of my kingdom. So Lord Shiva moved from Kailash Parvat to Vṛkāsura's city. And here, Vṛkāsura, when he arrested Aniruddha, we covered that earlier. Lord Shiva had to fight with his own Lord, Lord Kṛṣna, in a battle. So he was put in trouble in this case. So again, the demigods, they have to face trouble because of their devotees. Such is the case. While Lord Shiva is being compassionate, he is telling Vṛkāsura that whatever boon you want. And Lord Shiva, he was with goddess Parvati at that time. So when he appeared from the fire and he stopped Vṛkāsura, goddess Parvati is standing right beside him. And Lord Shiva is saying, whatever boon you want to ask, you ask. So Vṛkāsura. Vṛkāsura, he asked the boon that whoever's head I place my hand, his head would, burst into 1,000 pieces and will die instantly. Now Lord Shiva is, he is feeling sorry for having said that I will give you whatever boon you want. Because now the boon this personality has asked, Vṛkāsura has asked, is a very demoniac boon. It is not going to benefit anyone. It is only going to cause havoc. And this person is looking for name, fame and glories, just to push his pride forward. But he will be causing havoc all over. Yet at the same time, he has already said, that's why he is sorry, because now that he has given his words, he cannot go back. So being compassionate, he says, okay, tathastu, so be it. Now as soon as Lord Shiva says, so be it, Vṛkāsura says, okay, if I have this power, I should test it out. Now he sees goddess Parvati. She's very beautiful, a very chaste wife of Lord Shiva. Now his desire is instantly, this is his worshipable deity on this instant, his desire is to get the consort of his worshipable deity. He wants to enjoy goddess Parvati. So now with that mood, he also wants to test out the power of this, boon that he has received. He raises his hand to touch Lord Shiva's head. And Lord Shiva realizes just in time. And he runs. So now it is described that Lord Shiva is running, in the sky, but Vṛkāsura, now his name is also Bhasmasura, because he can cause the whole body to split, the head to split into 1,000 pieces and die. So Vṛkāsura is running after Lord Shiva, and he is also a very powerful Siddha personality. He's got a lot of potency, yet at the same time he's using potency in a destructive manner. He's chasing Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva starts running, in the sky. He's chasing in the sky, in the space. He goes to different planets, but Vṛkāsura is chasing him, and he's going to the end of the universe, and all the demigods, all the presiding deities of different planets, they are looking at this scene and they don't know how to help Lord Shiva. Because when they needed help, they would go to Lord Shiva for help. Now here Lord Shiva is in trouble. So Indra is not able to understand how to help Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma, he is not able to understand how to help Lord Shiva. Soma, in Chandraloka, he is not able to understand how to help Lord Shiva. Vivaswan, on the sun planet, he is not able to understand. All the demigods are bewildered. Everyone is feeling this anxiety that this Vṛkāsura has received this boon and is running after Lord Shiva. After he takes care of Lord Shiva, he is coming for us. Everybody knows that. So they are all in anxiety. Everyone is praying. So Lord Shiva crosses the universe, goes to the Vaikuntha. Now it is very nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada that actually within the material world there is Shveta-deep, right? Shir Sagar. So in the Shir Sagar there is Shirodakshai Vishnu. He is residing on Shesh in the center. So Lord Shiva is going over there. So Lord Vishnu sees him coming from a distance. So seeing Lord Shiva coming from a distance, he understands. And he immediately takes a form of a student brahmachari, a very attractive looking student brahmachari. And he appears in front of Vṛkāsura. And as a student brahmachari, he pays obeisances to Vṛkāsura. So Vṛkāsura is surprised, a very attractive, young, very bright looking young boy, a brahmachari has come and he's paying me obeisances. Now, before he could say that, don't disturb me, I have to go. I am on an important task. I am on a mission. Before he could say that, in the form of brahmachari, what does Lord say? Lord says, it seems that my dear sir, you are on a very important task, but it would be very nice if you take, rest. because the body is very important. You seem to be very tired. And it's always helpful to reveal your mind to other, benevolent soul like me, so that I can help you in whichever manner I can. So Vṛkāsura, before he could say that, I'm on a specific task, hearing these words, he is pacified and he stays back. Srila Prabhupada explains that even the demons, they understand the importance of having a healthy body, right? So they are constantly looking, and he realizes that he's really tired running after Lord Shiva, so he decides to rest. And then he reveals his mind. He tells him that he has received this boon and now he wants to get Lord Shiva. He wants to place his hand on top of the head of Lord Shiva. So at that time, Brahmachari, in the form of Brahmachari, Lord Vishnu is telling him, "Oh, my dear sir," as a student Brahmachari is saying, with a very sweet voice, ever since Daksha cursed Lord Shiva, he has turned into a hobgoblin. Don't trust him. You ask for this boon, I don't think it's effective. He's look at his associates, they're all ghosts, hobgoblins, and all the pishachas and all those. Don't trust him. He himself has become a hobgoblin. I don't think his blessing is effective. Vṛkāsura is surprised. He's realizing, it is possible that the boon is not effective. How could it be so easily given? And maybe he's running because he knows that if I'll touch his head and he will not die, I'll come to know that he is a liar. He did not really give me the boon, he fooled me. So now, as a student Brahmachari, he says, if you don't believe me, you touch your head, you'll see he's lying. So bewildered by the words, he places his own hand on his head. What happens? The boon says, the head will split into 1,000 pieces. Immediately his head bursts into 1,000 pieces and he dies on the spot. So at that time, Lord Shiva, he realizes Lord Vishnu has just saved him. So he comes and he pays obeisance. So Lord Vishnu tells him, see, this is a destiny of a demon who has received great boons but are misusing them. They are constantly annihilated. And what to talk about a demon who is trying to destroy you, Lord. So Lord Shiva is also known as Maheshwar, Maha Ishwar. He is of all the demigods, he is like the topmost demigod. And of course, Devi Dham is actually even above Satyalok, right? Lord Brahma's place, Brahmalok. So here, it is, Lord Kṛṣṇa is in a way chastising in a mild manner. So Lord Vishnu is chastising Lord Shiva that don't give such boons to, foolish people like this. So he is doing a mild chastisement to Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva is very dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa, and at the same time, he knows that Lord Shiva had given his words. So he is telling that don't just give up your words. Try to let the other person reveal their mind before you commit to saying, yes, I'll do it. And sometimes it does happen that, devotees being compassionate at times, first commit and then they realize, what have I done? And then Lord Kṛṣṇa is in anxiety. So many instances. If you think of any of those instances, please write in the comments. One of the instances I would like to share is when Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas, they had defeated all the warriors and now they are looking for Duryodhana and he's hiding, in a lake. So at that time, Yudhishthira Maharaj, they call him out, right? And Yudhishthira Maharaj says, you can fight with any of us and if you win, we'll, call you victorious. We'll accept that everything belongs to you. That was the allurement that Duryodhana comes out of the lake. Yudhishthira Maharaj didn't know that because of Gandhari's boon, the whole body of Duryodhana had become like iron, right? Falad, it said. So it's like iron, as strong as iron. Lord Kṛṣṇa knew that there is only one place because he had caused Duryodhana to become bewildered, where it is right under the waist, on the inner thighs, that he still has his whole part that has not become falad, not become iron like strong. But Lord Kṛṣṇa says, what have you done? This is, you just called that if he defeats any of you, he will become victorious. And of course, by Lord's mercy, Duryodhana, who does he choose? He he chooses Bhima because he always considered Bhima as his arch enemy. He says, this is a time I'm going to defeat Bhima, I'm going to kill him. So both of them are fighting. And, Yudhishthira Maharaj and the other Pandavas, they are looking, he's looking so powerful now. Bhima is looking fighting so nicely now. Duryodhana is fighting so nicely. And Lord Krishna says, this is not a measure going on. This is not a profit and loss business. Sometimes when a devotee leaves this material world, people think it's a profit and loss business. It's not a mercantile business going on. Because a devotee, wherever he goes, he is spreading Krishna consciousness. He is constantly engaged in devotional service, purifying all the worlds wherever he goes. Just like Srila Prabhupada, wherever he would travel, he would carry Vrindavan with him. Right? And Yudhishthira Maharaj says to Vidurji, after Vidurji comes from from his pilgrimage, and after becoming a realized personality, a realized soul, after meeting sage Maitreya and inquiring from him the spiritual knowledge and gaining that spiritual knowledge and realization, when Yudhishthira Maharaj sees, he says that you are such a great personality, you are such a realized soul that you even purify the holy places. You not just carry the holy places, but when you go to another holy place, you even purify that. And that's what, when Srila Prabhupada would come to any of the temples where his disciples were eagerly waiting for him, just by the presence of Srila Prabhupada, during that duration when Srila Prabhupada would be at the temple would be 1,000 times more. Every devotee would be 1,000 times more jubilant compared to when Srila Prabhupada was not there. Devotees share this, his disciples have shared, that when Srila Prabhupada would come to the temple, he would carry Vrindavan, he would carry such amazing, holy dham along with him. And the whole place will become purified. So such is the mood of a devotee. It's not a profit and loss business. Now the devotee is not here, so we have this loss. Yes, devotee is not there, but we all have responsibility to carry out our devotional service. So that is the mood. It's not so again, when Yudhishthira Maharaj says, Lord Krishna in a mild way rebukes him also. Saying, first of all, you're putting me in anxiety, and on top of that, you're thinking it's a profit and loss business. And then he signals to Bhima how to defeat Duryodhana, even though it was not the right mean. Lord Krishna, this is a very interesting thing, that at Kurukshetra, and of course in Lord Krishna's pastimes, Duryodhana followed every rule, every law for his benefit. Lord Krishna broke every law for the benefit of others, for the benefit of humanity. Because he is above the three modes of material nature, he is above the law, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Sometimes people don't understand that, and they make a big offense of criticizing Lord Krishna and his devotees. And Vaishnava Aparadha is like mad elephant disease. They don't realize that all their spiritual progress is going backward, and they will be suffering in hellish planets. It's very important for us to understand from the eye of the Shastras that how we're looking at different things. And Lord Krishna says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi reke kuru nandana. He's telling that a devotee is resolute in its determination and has only one goal. And what's that goal? To serve Lord Krishna, to constantly be engaged in devotional service. And this can easily be achieved simply by chanting of the holy name. Just by calling out to the Lordship with love, devotion, with gratitude. Just like a child cries out for its mother. Srila Prabhupada gives this example. So in that mood, let's raise our hand and call out to the Lordships. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. And this purifies us, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals, Cheto Darpanamajanam Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvaparam. The Simon blessings are there just by chanting of the holy name. And Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam, Kala Nashteva, 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 Gatiranyatha. In Brihad Naradiya Purana it's revealed. Hare Nam, chanting of the holy name, glorification of his name, form, activities, pastimes, and of that, chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name. This holy name of the Lord has been repeated 3 times here because of stress. There is extra stress. When we say second time, it becomes quite, it is to put focus on. Third time it has been. only this is the process. Kevalam. Kala nashti eva nashti eva. Destroys the effect of this Kali age. And what are the effects of this Kali age? This age is an age of quarrel and hypocrisy, where everyone is ready to create quarrel, and constantly disturb. What's the state of people in this age? Prayana alpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana mandasu mandamatyo mandbhagyo praduta. Shukdev Goswami reveals in the 12th canto of Srimadbhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj that in this Kali age, men are short-lived and they are quarrelsome, they are lazy, they have less intelligence, they are unlucky, and they are always disturbed. That is the state of us humans. However, in the next verse he says, Kalera dosha nidhe raja nasti he eko mahan guna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Kalera dosha nidhe rajan. Even though this material world is a place of, is an ocean of faults, but it has one great quality, mahan guna. What is that great quality? Kirtana deva krishnasya. Just by glorification of Lord Kṛṣṇa, Kirtanad eva Krishnasa. Glorification can be done by chanting, by reading Srimadbhagavatam, by conversing with Vaishnavas, advanced devotees of the Lordship, reading Bhagavad Gita, Chetan Chaitamrita, listening to the discourses of the Acharyas and of the Vaishnavas and of the very Acharyas in the Guru in our Sampradaya. We can constantly overcome. Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. We can we can liberate ourselves, we can detach ourselves from this material world, right? The modes of material nature. And Param Vrajet, and we can attain the supreme abode. Param is supreme abode, Vrajet means we can achieve it, attain it. So there's such a great boon is there. Now in this regard, there are some wonderful stories there. They have been described by Srila Prabhupada. So one of them is the story of a Shaivite, a Brahman. And Srila Prabhupada in this chapter revealed that Shaivites and Vaishnavites, they're constantly they're constantly challenging each other. Shaivites think that Lord Shiva is the topmost personality, and Vaishnavas, they are scriptures and saying Lord Kṛṣṇa is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada says that in South India, there are many times various debate, events are arranged between the Shaivites and the Vaishnavites. Shaivites are the devotees of Lord Shiva, Vaishnavites are the devotees of Lord Vishnu. So they have these debates, and generally, most of the time, Vaishnavites win. Yet at the same time, this is constantly going on. So there was this devotee of Lord Shiva. So this was a Brahman, right? A pious person. So when he is worshipping for Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva appears. And this Brahman is asking for a boon. So Lord Shiva, he says, oh, this is very simple. You can go to Sanatana Goswami. You want a touchstone? You can go to Sanatana Goswami and you can ask him. He will give it to you. Whatever opulence you want, whatever fortune you want, you can attain from him. So this Brahman, he goes to Vrindavan, he finds how Sanatana Goswami's kutir, bhajan kutir, and then he goes to meet Sanatana Goswami, and he says that I have received this boon from Lord Shiva that I should come to you and you will be able to give me, the source of all wealth. So Sanatana Goswami says, yes, I have, this touchstone. And now what is touchstone, Parasmani? That this stone, if you touch iron, it will turn into gold, just by the touch. So he says, yes, it's over there. And he points towards garbage. So now the Brahmin goes in the garbage, he says, and he finds this touchstone, he touches it and tests it out, okay, yes, it turns iron into gold. So nice. So as he's walking away, suddenly he's realizing, wait a minute, if this was the most precious thing, why would Sanatana Goswami have it in the garbage area, right? Why would he have this stone in the garbage? So he thinks that, now he realizes that Sanatana Goswami has something which is very precious. That I should take. This is not so precious because it's like garbage to him. So he goes back to Sanatana Goswami. He says,
Do you have something which is more precious than this touchstone? Because you have it in the garbage area, It doesn't, it's like garbage to you. So you should definitely have a treasure which is much more precious than this. Sanatana Goswami smiles, he says, yes. Then he says, can you give it to me? Sanatana Goswami says, okay, first you will have to go to Yamuna and throw it deep, in the river. So he says, okay, will you give it to me? Sanatana Goswami says, definitely, without any doubt. You just do this, you come back and I'll give it to you, this wealth that you are seeking. He goes to Yamuna. He throws this touchstone in the waters. Now don't go diving in Yamuna trying to find that touchstone, because you're going to get better wealth right here. So he goes back to Sanatana Goswami at his kutir, and he says, now please give it to me. Sanatana Goswami says, repeat after me. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Chant and be happy. So Hare Kṛṣṇa Mahamantra is a prayers to Mother Radhe, right? Mother Hare. So Hara is the name of Radharani. So with love, we call her Hare or Radhe. We are requesting Mother Radhe to engage us in the service of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So we want to serve Lord Kṛṣṇa. So Ram, sometimes people get confused. All Vishnu Tattvas, they are not different, right? The expansions of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And they are Swamsha. Swamsha means they are part of Lord Kṛṣṇa at that level. While we are living entities are Vibhinnamsha, so we are much inferior, Panchil and energies. But they are Swamsha. So Ram can refer to Balaramji, Lord can refer to Radharamanji, Ram can refer to Ramchandraji. Yes, or Ram can refer to any form of the Lord that is blissful, because the word Ram means one who gives transcendental bliss. So here, Lord Kṛṣṇa gives transcendental bliss. All his, incarnations as Vishnu Tattvas, they give him bliss. And so here, the prayer is to engage us in your service. So the purpose of life is to engage in devotional service. When we attain the goal, what do? We continue to engage in devotional service. Now there is a very nice story that how simply by taking shelter of devotees, sometimes one can attain great boons. There's a story of a monk making a stone soup. It is in the Portuguese folk tale. So there was this traveler monk. He was going from places to places. So he goes to a village and he realizes that no one is, paying attention. So people are very much seeking sense gratification. He realizes that that is the mood. So he goes over there and he basically tells them that I have an amazing stone. This makes a wonderful soup. But it can only make this soup so wonderfully if you want to take this soup, you have to bring different kind of vegetables and so forth. So he puts this stone in the waters and he's boiling the water. Now villagers realizing that this person is making this amazing soup, and if we want to take part of this soup, then we should contribute something. So they bring different kind of vegetables, different kind of spices, and they started pouring in boiling pot of water where the stone is there. And afterwards, when everything has been cooking and all the villagers are waiting for this soup to be ready, the monk, he simply takes the stone out, puts it back in his bag, and he distributes this soup. And at that time he makes them realize. So this was at a place called Almeirim in Portugal. So at the outskirts of this village, this town, he does this, and he gives, and everybody enjoys this soup. And then he reveals that actually that stone was just a normal stone. It had no other special quality. But the special quality was that stone had everyone come together as a community, and everyone contributing together as a community. Even though they were seeking sense gratification, just by the cooperation, the whole experience became blissful. So even if people have all kind of material desires, they should take shelter of Lord Kṛṣṇa and engage in congregation chanting, because that is the dharma for this age. And of course it is said in three important legs. Namaruchi, attraction towards the chanting of the holy name. Vaishnava Seva, serving the advanced devotees of the Lordship, and Jivodaya, and being merciful to other living entities, being compassionate to other living entities. Just like in this case of Vṛkāsura, who was about to chop off his head and offer himself, Lord Shiva was so merciful that he came. So such merciful are the devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa that they are constantly coming to spread Krishna consciousness. And we are seeing then that they are constantly benefiting the humanity, while demons are engaging in creating all kind of weapons and creating havoc on humanity. So that is the important message, that just by taking surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa, one can defeat all kind of enemies and all kind of miseries, and can overcome all kind of sufferings in this world, and easily go back home chanting the holy name. Hare Kṛṣna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Kṛṣna. This is where the chapter ends. Thank you for joining us today. Gantraj Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnava Vind ki jai, Nitaya Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Kṛṣna.